You hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence keeps this channel ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Inkdependence. I'm Mike, and this is a special ink for Fountain Pen Day, which is today, the 4th of November. The first Friday in November is always Intercontinental Fountain Pen Day, and today we have a Robert Oster exclusive ink from Stilo&Stile, which is an Italian pen shop that I have gotten some things from in the past. I bought this beautiful Leonardo Prisma from there, and they said, hey, Mike, would you like to check this ink out before we release it on Fountain Pen Day? And I said, absolutely, yes. It is called Tempest Sky. It comes in this very nice, pretty typical Robert Oster 50 ml bottle. This is a nice plastic bottle. You don't have to worry about it shattering or anything like that. And inside, you can't tell what color this ink is because it doesn't really show. Let's look at it on some paper. Robert Oster Stilo&Stile Tempest Sky. This is, as you can see, like a multichrome ink, which I was not expecting. I know Robert Oster does some multichrome inks sometimes, but it is just kind of like, I usually think of like his real saturated things like blues and browns and things like that, but he does great purpley things, and this is a really nice purpley gray. As you can see right there in that swatch and in the writing samples right here, it kind of looks great. I have this on my usual Rhodia 80 grams per square meter paper. Flow on this one a little bit wet, a little bit thin, and I have it in 2 pens. Firstly, this is a Schon DSGN Black Ultem pen, and I have it with a natural Ultem section because I think it looks cool together with a big broad nib, because Mario over at Stilo&Stile said, yeah, you're probably going to want a wet nib or a big nib for this. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go big. This might be a little bit light. And it turns out that, man, it's actually a little bit on the wet side, and I didn't really need this big broad nib. So I'm like, let's try it a medium. So I threw it in my Diplomat Elox. This is the Orange Rings Elox. I really like this pen, and it has a nice medium Yovo nib on there. So a very sort of standard nib, neither wet nor dry, not super wide, not super fine, just kind of like middle of the road, and it feels great on paper. And this ink is excellent in that pen as well. I really enjoyed writing with this, and we're going to see it on a variety of papers. Here we go. So this is available starting today, which is Fountain Pen Day, and it is a special edition, not a limited edition, which means you don't have to really stoke the FOMO. You can go and grab it later on as well. However, right now it is part of a promotion. They have sales going on. Go check out their site if you're viewing this on the day it goes up. But otherwise, go and find this ink, where it is 1650 euros, which is currently a little under that in dollars. So about 1636 in dollars right now. So that is a very good price for this ink, and I think you're probably really going to like it. Let's look at it on some other papers and that sort of thing right after we do a water test here. Let's get some water on this thing. We'll look at chromatography. You know the drill. Look at some similar inks. Let's give it a little bit of a shimmy. This is actually holding up way better than I thought it was going to. I thought this was just going to come right off as soon as water touched it, but it's got a little bit more resistance than that, although those lines are looking real faint. Let's mop it up. Oops. Didn't get all the water. Come on. Absorb more. There we go. Yeah, there's not a lot left. So I was right. This does not really have any water resistance, and I'm not really surprised about that. As I said up here, it is a little bit on the thin side, and you can tell an ink is kind of on the thin side when you get this like really interesting shading here. So you can see in those light areas, as I was drawing, say, an S or whatever, the ink would follow the nib and it would just kind of stay in those lower spots. And so you see it sort of like flow into those bits, and it gives you that interesting shading there. But that also means sometimes that it is just not particularly saturated, it's not a very heavy ink, and it's probably not going to have much water resistance. So not a big surprise. And also, I gotta say, this is not the best ink to use on the terrible 20-pound paper that I'm about to show you. But look, you're going to like this better on good paper anyway, so I'm not concerned about that at all. You're going to get the beautiful shading, you're going to get the excellent multichrome, it's going to look much cooler on a better paper. So, you know, just maybe don't use it on the crappy paper that you'll have, you know, in the office copier or what have you. Let's take a look at it on some of those papers right after we do our chromatography here. There's the chromatography. And boy, is that pretty cool. No purples in there, and yet you get gray purple, and no grays in there, but you get gray purple. So we've got like pink and, well, actually, is that purple? I mean, red and blue does make purple. So I guess like kind of pink and blue makes purple. All right, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, less in that chromatography than I was expecting, actually. I thought there would be a little bit more stuff going on there, but just a really nice balance of those hues. Well done, Robert Oster. All right, so here it is on that 20-pound, 30% recycled copy paper, the worst stuff you're going to find in your office. And it actually looks pretty okay on here, I think. You can tell it has a little bit of spread probably, and you can see a few feathers here and there, but not too many. And then when you flip it over, there is some bleeding, but not a huge amount. I mean, it bleeds a bit, but that is a pretty wet broad nib because that's what I was going for to begin with. And the other one is pretty medium nib. So not the best for your office paper, but not like unusable or anything like that here at all. And definitely dark enough to read, which was the other thing I was a little bit worried about when I first like took a look at this ink. So not great, but not awful. Then here we have it in my Galen Leather Co. Everyday book, which is Tomoe River. And here, you can see it's in a couple of different nibs. Those are the ones I showed you there. And it looks beautiful on this paper. Tomoe River is really very good for this ink. You can see definitely the shading and that sort of thing as it follows the pen nib and all that. But really a very nice looking ink. Oh, and this is also where you're going to see a lot of that multichrome stuff. So there's the blue and the purple there, and also like little bits of pink on the interior. I love that look, and I've seen it in a bunch of inks lately, and I'm into it. I think it's very stylish and very now. And here, on the very last page of my currently inked book, which I apparently started in 2020, I kind of can't believe that, but whatever. The very last page, this thing is filled up. These are these two entries on here. This is wheat straw paper. Which is, this is wheat straw paper, which is, kind of like sugar cane or some of those other things you'll find. It's a pretty darn good paper, definitely in the upper top half, but it's not coated. So it's more normal-ish than, say, a Rhodia or a Tomoe River. And you can see here also looking real pretty from these two nibs. I think on this one, maybe I prefer it in that broad nib because it gives you more of a color spectrum. But here, absolutely readable, and it still looks very nice just from that medium nib. So yeah, pretty good. A couple of bonus papers. Firstly, right here, this is Cosmo Air Snow. It's kind of like Cosmo Air Light, but it's brighter white. And I wanted to have something very bright and also a bit odd because Cosmo papers tend to do strange things with inks that have different colors in them. They don't come out the same on this paper as they will on others. And that's always a lot of fun. So here we have it here. And it looks like it's kind of a steely gray on this paper. You don't get a whole lot of that multichrome. It just sort of stays steely gray. And I think it looks real nice on here. I was really liking it. And then I tried it on this paper, which is one I've not used yet for these reviews. And it's from this book, which is a Nebula note, Nebula Casual note. It's a 90 grams per square meter paper. It's white. I think this is made by the same folks that make Colorverse inks, or it's sold by them, I believe. But this is a really nice paper. It's more on the normal side, non-coated, and you can see there's a total, like it's very different. Look at the difference between those two hues. Like, not even close. And also you can see it looks like it kind of spread out on this paper. And this paper is not as cushiony feeling, not as like, I don't know, squishy kind of as Cosmo Airlight. Snow is, I think, not as squishy, but you can definitely see it did spread out a bit. And I think that might just be because it's got a little bit more squish to it than this one does. But steely gray versus kind of more purple here on the Nebula. Every paper I use this on, it's still very good. All right, color comparison time. Here it is on my Color Ring card, or Color deck, which shows off some very nice shading. You can actually see like deep purples and that sort of thing in there where it was pooled up pretty well, down to light purples and grays. Really neat looking. So I have a few colors that I picked out. This one is Diamine Nightshade, which is definitely more purple, I think, than Tempest Sky is. This is part of the 2021 Inkvent collection. And then here is another diamine. Really, I just picked diamines and Robert Osters. They're the only things that were really close. This one's called Toe in the Ocean, and it's a Cult Pens exclusive, and it's definitely a lot lighter than Tempest Sky. I think I like Tempest Sky a little bit more than I'm gonna like this Toe in the Ocean. I think this is gonna be a little bit light for me, but this one I think is a bit darker and a bit more interesting. So there's those. And then a pair of Robert Oster inks. This one is Cities of Australia, Australia, Adelaide. Australia makes, maybe I said that right. This is from my friend Kimberly, who sent me this sample. And this one is a Robert Oster, and it's still in that same kind of almost multichrome, sort of purpley gray shade. But I think I might like this one a little bit better. I don't know. I think I'm kind of torn. I haven't used this in a pen yet, and so I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like in a fountain pen. But from glass pens, these look very different. And then lastly, another Robert Oster. This one's called Summer Storm. And this is pretty close, although I think, again, Tempest Sky is a better mix, perhaps, than Summer Storm. I think it's going to be a bit darker, perhaps, and have more interesting shading. But yeah, kind of close, I suppose, to those two. I mean, they're all from the same company, so he's got sort of a similar kind of ink language going on there, and a dig it. So that is Stilo&Stile, Robert Oster, Tempest Sky. Definitely go find this over at Stilo&Stile.it. Let them know I sent you in the comments or whatever on their stuff. Like this video, subscribe, tell a friend, and thanks very much to all of you who watch these. Happy Fountain Pen Day to everybody who uses fun pens, and you'll see me in another video soonish. Peace out.